Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the welcome. We'll try that again to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
How we doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. You know, it's a game day, so that's exciting. It's been a nice gap since since the clinch, and so it's been been counting the hours. I'm almost like it's only what time are we starting here? 10:58. Feels like midway through this pod. Once we get into afternoon, I could probably crack a beer, right? That seems fair.
You do whatever the hell you want, man. You crack a beer.
I know, but yeah. I mean, I haven't finished my coffee yet. When I finish this cup of coffee, which is here, and 3/4 of the way done.
We're grown-ass men. We do what we want. It's like Cartman. Whatever. I do what I want. You know that?
Yeah. Whatever.
That's my brother's go-to meme in the brother text. Mine is the black guy with D's nuts. My brother's is the Cartman. Whatever. I do what I want. I think that was
who is the most active in the brothers text?
It's not me. It's not my little brother is the least active.
Okay, rank them in order. So that leaves.
It'd probably go Greg.
Greg, the most active. Okay, I can see that.
Probably Greg or Brad most active. Probably Greg, Brad.
You?
It's nonstop sometimes. Like I just get like take yesterday, for example. I was in the yard like most of the day. I'm just like not looking at my phone, and then you see 27 missed texts or whatever. I'm just like, I've already missed to hop back in, so I'm just gonna. Yesterday is just a wash.
Right.
But I mean,
I have so many texts that I have so many group texts that are just muted.
Oh well, this one's muted.
Yeah. As you can imagine, I have a group text that's like Chris Wilde and Chris Wilde's boys, and it's just muted. Then I open it and it's like 700. I go, okay, well, guess hope no one say anything about me in there.
Well, that's pretty much all my group text.
Somebody like 400 messages ago, is Prano alive? Just like I never respond.
Yeah. Well, it just consumes your day.
Yeah.
Like it can. To me, group text, they're like social media.
Oh, for sure.
Because you can fall down that and then you're just like, shit. I'm going back and forth this long. What am I doing? But you know how it is, especially at night. That's when the group texts are lit, fam. You just want to keep responding. Speaking of group text.
Yeah.
Kind of related.
Can't wait to see where the segue goes.
I just wanted to say Nick D'Alessandro was out in LA.
That's right. I did not catch up with Nick. I think he might be gone now. We had plans. We were only going to overlap a couple days. We had plans to catch up, and then I got back into town, and my girlfriend's dad's dealing with some medical shit, so she's dealing with all that stress, and then so I didn't catch up with Nick, sadly. See you in Utah, buddy.
Well, he sent me a text. He went back to Savage Town. He took a selfie in front of Savage Town, took a behind the big retaining wall. the border, so to speak, between Savage Town and Venice. He sent me a picture of that, and I know him and Tug hung out.
Nice.
So I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. I'm gonna reach out to him now that he works for the Jazz, and the Jazz owner purchased the Coyotes. So he's probably doing some hockey stuff now too.
There you go.
You think he could take pictures or film on skates?
Weirdly, Nick feels like a guy who rollerbladed growing up.
Well, I think he even played hockey.
Oh, okay. There you go. So sounds like yeah.
I think he did rollerblade.
Yeah.
He's
Just rollerblading around with 2 cheese sticks, like those people on Venice Beach, the way they dance.
It's funny now that I have a kid. Her diet is very similar to Nick's.
Yeah, cheese sticks.
Loves cheese, like anything like that, like a cheese stick, anything with cheese.
My dogs have a similar diet to Nick too. Lots of cheese.
That's
the cheese stacks. The cheese stacks.
R.I.P. to any sort of cheese for Roscoe.
Peace out on the cheese, Roscoe.
Although he's adjusted to the kidney diet so far. We're trying everything. They have a million different KD, like Hills or Royal Canine. He's basically sampling everything now. So,
how's his general temperament right now? Is he at least chilling?
Oh, he's good. It was good last week.
Okay, good.
He's thrown up a few times. I think he went from not eating to now.
Yeah, well, it was a weekend, you know.
I would love to know the last time I threw up from alcohol. Was it the last year I drank? Was it 2014? Maybe. No.
I'm trying to think of the last time I threw up from alcohol. The question is, was it after the Kobe Bryant shot challenge?
April 2016.
Feels like it must be, but like I don't have a recollection of some time I got like. I think if I did, it would have been the next day. That's a real old guy move. Like you stop throwing up in the middle of it. You stop throwing up while you're partying. You start throwing up the next day.
Yeah, no, I see that. You know what sucks? Is the technology just wasn't there. Imagine if we had the Kobe Bryant shot challenge on video. You know what I'm saying? Like we were this close. None of the live stuff really existed outside of
Speaking of which, Andy, great segue.
Yeah.
I'm going live tonight for Knicks versus Hicks, game 1 on our Substack. It'll be, me watching the game live. Will Andy Ruther be there? I don't know. The open invitation, obviously, always for Andy Ruther to join. But like, I think it was Friday or whatever, or Saturday that I made the link and put it up there because I knew I was. It's like my girlfriend, whether she's home or not, game 1, she doesn't want to be around this. I'm gonna be in the shed. I'll be watching this in the shed one way or the other.
What time is that game?
4:30 PST, 7:30 EST. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we get past noon here. I'm within 5 hours of game time. Let's just go.
You ever maybe say, I'm caring too much. I'm thinking too much about the basketball team. You ever think about that? No,
not this basketball team. I've been that way about sports in my life. But like I think I've been that way more recently as a Giants fan because I'm like, dude, you've won. We've seen titles. Like, who cares? Like, and also they're just like so frustrating and mismanaged in like the recent past that you're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then I'm like, why do I give a shit? And then I've certainly been that way. Like 2 Octobers ago, when I basically had just met my girlfriend, she was like, "Why are you standing for this whole Mets game?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the playoffs." And she's like, "I don't understand. Like, what does it have to do with you standing the whole time?" Just like, I'm nervous. And then I had to like go for a fucking walk and whatever. And playoffs, I think, is different, especially in like baseball, but I've convinced myself in regular season baseball, I'm like, there's 162 games. You got some shit to do, or your girlfriend's like, how about no TV tonight? Maybe we'll fucking have dinner and talk to each other. Or you want to watch this thing? I'll be like, yeah, it's fine. Fuck it. Like, I don't know. But like the Knicks, I don't think you understand, Andy, that like the jump from the Starks, Ewing, Oakley, Mason, Pat Riley era to now, there was a short window of like the Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, Jeff Van Gundy thing, which even that didn't quite mean as much to me. I was never a Jeff Van Gundy guy. I kind of always hated Allen Houston. But like obviously we went to the finals, but I knew we weren't winning that. But you look at the gap between the Pat Riley era, that's 30 years, dude. And I don't think you realize like how fucking crazed I was in the early to mid 90s that you just like, you have that ripped away from you. It's like, oh, that thing you care about? You're not allowed to care about it for 3 decades. It's just like a lot of pent up energy for this Knicks team. Already, though, in this series, like there's already less of an intensity than there was because it's not against the Trash Town USA. But game time, it's going to rev up for sure.
I mean, it should be an interesting series. There's a lot of series now that should be real fun.
Yeah. Did you watch any Timberwolves Denver the other day?
I did.
Yeah, let's go. See, I love Andy Ruther, playoff basketball. He's back, baby. Andy Ruther was like, listen, I can only watch 15 basketball games a year, but when I watch them, I'm in.
Well, my take. I definitely watch the playoffs. I'm definition of the casual fan during the regular season. And obviously I hadn't watched Minnesota really this year. Probably like a lot of people, the casuals. But man, that I know it's one game, and obviously I followed him through this year and through the playoffs, but that Anthony Edwards, bro.
Goose isn't going to happen. People insist on Ant-Man. I'm making Goose a thing.
I mean, he's pretty sick.
He's great. He has, he has the potential of being one of those like, and we just did this a couple years ago with John Morant. I mean, don't forget they were like a fucking 2 seed. He was whatever, and then he turned to fucking Wild Bill Hickok. But it's not just that he's a great player; it's the type of great player he is. Like the people, who didn't want to come around on Jokic, it took them years to come around and appreciate what he was because he was doing it in a certain way. Or the haters out there that are discrediting what Jalen Brunson does because he does it in a certain way. They're not as quick to get on board with the craftiness, which is so funny because everybody loves to talk about the like skilled this, skilled that, who's the most skilled of all time. But then when it comes down to it, the truth is they just like hyper athletic people. Like those are the people that are going to jump out as like quote unquote like, oh, this guy can elevate to a superstar. That being said, Anthony Edwards is super skilled, but he's also hyper athletic. He's doing it on a team like my Knicks that haven't done shit in forever. So he's doing it against Denver. So people are quick to jump on. He's a great player. I think he has that potential of going to like superstar level, but at the same time, we've seen this. It's like, can you do it year in and year out?
Well, it seems like and I'm not even saying they're going to win the series, but it seems like they have a team around them. The Rudy Gobert trade, which at the time everybody said was terrible, he made some, like that block he had on the alley-oop. You know, he's making key plays. They have a core, at least it seems right now.
It's so funny because the Rudy Gobert trade, even in a vacuum, even if you take it as what it is right now, like you can say, look, it's working out. It's like, it's only working out because Anthony Edwards is turning into a superstar. If you are in the league today and you have a big that's just a defensive big, like you almost can't compete unless you have these guys that surround that person. I mean, we obviously seen my favorite non-Knicks team of all time is the 2011 Mavs. It's like Tyson Chandler was a lob catcher and a defensive player, and that's it. But it's like everybody else on the team was a shooter. So you can do that. And if Anthony Edwards doesn't make the leap he's making, there's a chance that this Timberwolves team, you go, oh, we got just like this defensive, but like in this situation where you don't need him to do anything offensively, and he sort of counterbalances a Jokic a little bit, or just being a man in the middle against a team that plays from the inside out, it's huge. I think, or first of all, let me say this about Sirius. Like, I think, like I've said, the Timberwolves are building something for sure. Like they actually, like my Knicks and unlike the Philadelphia 76ers, have a process in place. And so like you have to make these leaps. Game 1, Jamal Murray played like shit, but at the same time, it's like you can't just discredit. You can't just say, "Oh, he came out and he played like shit." Like they also did something to affect that. But when I was watching the game, it's just Denver's so relentless offensively, and they can get their shots so easily that there was never a point in that game where I was like, oh, like this is Minnesota's game, until it was like over, like with 50 seconds left and they're down like 8 or whatever. I was like, is this still are we going to overtime here? So I still think this is a Denver series, but I'm ecstatic because I don't have any rooting interest in this whatsoever, that Minnesota comes out and gets game 1, because now we get to have a series. It's like, if Jamal Murray plays as poorly as he did and Minnesota keeps it close the whole game and they lose, that's it. You're gone. It's over. This is Denver in 4, Denver in 5. Minnesota getting a game. Do I think they win the series? I don't, but obviously they could. I don't think they do, but I'm beyond happy that we get to watch competitive playoff basketball. No one wants, the only series I want to see go 4 is the Knicks series. Everything else, like, give me fucking 7. Give me 7 in Boston and Cleveland. Give me 7 in OKC. Give me 7 in Denver and Minnesota. Just give me them all.
So I was thinking when I was watching that, how you have Minnesota, obviously Denver won last year. You've had Warriors, kind of dynasty, quasi-dynasty, whatever you want to call it, the last 10 years. But I think NBA has entered a nice parity era.
Mm-hmm.
I would compare it to the NFL, where the Patriots win a bunch or the Chiefs win a bunch. So you have your quote-unquote dominant team, which again would be the Warriors. But you're seeing smaller markets. Not that Minnesota's a small market, but you're seeing
Pretty small.
Yeah, I mean it's decent size, but I'm talking about the Milwaukees and these teams that are now elevating, which I think is good for the league. Obviously, the Pacers are in the second round. I just think that the quote unquote teams that didn't really win are now having potential, versus it's not always going to be the Lakers.
Well, we've gone through an era. We've gone through certain eras, and the NBA and NFL definitely have a similar thing in that your 1A, your lead dog, your guy is kind of like the NFL equivalent of a quarterback. If you don't have that dude, you really can't compete. Like there's, you look at the teams that are even still there. I mean, you have Luka and SGA. You have Jokic and Anthony Edwards. You got Jalen Brunson and I don't know, Tyrese Halliburton. I hate to say that's why I've got right down here Knicks 5, but who's your fucking 1A absolute fucking stud dude? Halliburton? Siakam? Probably Halliburton, but as an assist man. Anyway, coming back to that, you got Jason Tatum, you got Donovan Mitchell. Those are kind of the NFL equivalent of a quarterback. And we went through eras in the 90s. It felt like everybody's team had a star. And the Bulls had 2 stars. And I know JJ Redick is taking a lot of shit for this. The league was watered down. It was your star and whoever your second guy is. And then role players who really just, the majority of team had guys who would never exist in today's NBA. Just it was a pretty top heavy league. It was stars, maybe some secondary guys, and then a lot of dog shit. Then we go into the early 2000s where, Shaq and Kobe, you get Tim Duncan and David Robinson for a hot minute. You get all these teams where they're kind of doing the we have a great star and we've got this second, they kind of follow the Bulls model, the Batman and Robin thing. Then we went to the super team era, and now we're coming back to sort of a 90s thing where every team has their guy, and it's who are you backloading him with? And then of course in the NBA today, as compared to the 90s, the role play, it's like in baseball, relievers come out of the bullpen. Middle relievers used to be dog shit pitchers. Now every middle reliever throws 102 miles an hour. You got guys coming off the bench in the NBA that would be fucking starting guards on any 90s NBA team. So the talent level is so raised, but we're sort of back to this thing where everybody's looking for their guy. I mean, you and I grew up in the 90s. You could think of any team and you go, that was their guy, that was their guy. Even the shittiest teams in the league, they all had a guy.
Yeah. They did. That's true. And that was highlighted on NBA Jam, right?
Right. And precisely, there's a reason NBA Jam wasn't 3-on-3. Because the third guy on every team was wait, what the fuck am I doing? I'm playing with who? And even then you had the third guy as an option. And on some teams you're like, who the fuck is that dude? You had your Larry Johnsons and your Alonzo Mournings, and you're like, my third option is their 5'3" point guard.
Yeah. I started listening. I've actually finished the first. They do a 2-part episode. Charles Barkley on Shannon Sharp's podcast. I was listening to that while working in the yard yesterday. It's I like Charles. I know you like Charles, and I agree with a lot of things he says, but there's a lot of things, of course, I disagree with too, as far as when we're talking basketball and in the 90s, and it's just,
we're all susceptible to it. We're all
We're
all susceptible to the boomer take.
But what's interesting? He said, it's crazy. Charles Barkley's rookie contract was 4 years, $2 million.
That's crazy.
I do like Chuck's perspective of this is just a stupid game, is what he calls it. He's like, let's have perspective about the average guy makes the average NBA player makes $10 million now a year. And I think that is a good perspective. At the end of the day, it's a game, but just how much the game has grown.
Yeah, but also, guess what? Chuck makes a ton of money just to talk about it.
Oh yeah, and he talks about that.
Yeah,
how there's no.
It's there's so much money in this that there's money to go. There's not just money for the players. There's money for the ancillary people around it.
Well, that's what he was saying, and he was saying how happy they were when Michael Jordan got the shoe deal, because he's like, I end up getting my own Nike shoe, and so gets their own Nike shoe, and just how, right? It's one. There's no jealousy. It's like one guy gets it, and then you realize, okay, well, then other people are going to get this.
Yeah.
Which is how it is such the sports business that we're in. I mean, it's next level.
Yeah.
What these guys can make. But
so Charles Barkley is not of the opinion that the NBA is currently going broke. Just checking, just making sure.
He's not of the opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a confession because you talk about you go at your boy Clay Travis so much. I was like, he's gotta have to say something about this new NBA contract that's being negotiated.
Oh yeah, I'm sure his take is
so. But here's what he did, and of course this is what he did. He doesn't tweet it because he doesn't want it in writing. He talks about it. I fast forward. I was like, I went to his Twitter. He posts whatever, like a 30-minute video of whatever his daily show is.
Oh, okay. I was like,
so like he hits that topic. So like I'm skipping around trying to find it.
I did not watch this. Can I guess his take? His take is whoever that there's a bidding war to go broke.
So he breaks it down by each network. So his take is that Disney, right, which owns ABC and ESPN, is completely overpaying because they are in a weird spot because everybody's cutting the cord, and this is kind of like the last saving grace is live sports, is why people still keep cable. That's his take for Disney, ESPN. Amazon should overpay because you can do direct to consumer ads, which does make sense, right? Like if you have a Prime account, they know what you're searching, so they could do while you're watching the Bulls Cavs game. Oh, I was looking at something for my yard. Oh, suddenly the ads during that game for me are specialized. So
that's an interesting take from a guy who says no one's watching the NBA. So who are those direct to consumer ads for?
Exactly. And then it seems like it's just against ESPN. And then his NBC take was he gets it too because why they would pay, because ESPN, Fox, and TNT, which is owned by Warner Brothers, are all teaming up for their own app, and they gotta get their piece of the pie. So I just found it funny that, again, he's not going to tweet this, but again, you can say somebody's overpaying, but the market dictates if people are going to pay, right? That's capitalism. Like a lot of times you could say something's not worth the value, but again, if the market dictates what somebody's going to pay, the market dictates that.
Right.
But yeah, I blame you that I wasted 10 minutes of my time searching and then watching that.
It's just it's an incredibly weird. It was an incredibly weird flag to plant in the ground that, I mean, I don't even think arguably, I would say like firmly, live sports is such a huge deal all over the world. The second, the kind of obviously second biggest sport in America behind the NFL, but very clearly over baseball, very clearly over soccer, very clearly over hockey, is going broke because they said the people who make 85% of our league are equal to the other 15%.
Well, I think
they're gonna go broke.
Obviously, it's a catchphrase that people use like any catchphrase. But live sports in general are such a commodity and such value.
Well, the truth is the streaming service thing, like there's no reason to have any of these things anymore. There's no reason to have any, like, the idea of having like a sitcom or a fucking CSI or whatever. It's like the generation's dying. Like on demand is everything. So you can talk about like the hits on television. Like you could talk about Game of Thrones. Like those are like Succession. Those are like generational ratings fucking killers for like an HBO. But your typical show, your typical successful show does nothing in comparison to the worst NBA game in the playoffs. Like, people go, oh, the fucking blah, blah, blah. It's like hundreds of thousands of people watch a good, solidly rated TV show. Millions of people, whether you like it or not. So it's like, if you're trying to collect users, just start from the top down. It's like when you go to clear out your phone, you start with the biggest things and you go, can I delete this? Can I delete this? Can I delete this? So if you just look at the ratings for the year, try to collect football games, try to collect basketball games, try to collect, playoff NCAA tournament games, try to collect Succession type shows, try to collect whatever. Like no one gives a fuck about what's happening on half of television because you're niche marketing. You're literally going like, yeah, only like 80,000 people are going to watch this, but 80,000 people that we can target with this thing. So it's like the idea that something that garners millions of things is going broke is just, you're just a loser and you're just a hater. And the truth is, like I've said before, you're just racist. You just hate black people.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think it's just someone digging, their heels in the ground and say, I'm going to sit on this and I'm not going to waver, even if I'm presented factual information, because that is quote unquote how I've built my brand. Right. I think the hardest thing for anybody to do, especially when you're in that world, which is political, is admit when you're wrong.
Oh, also, specifically on that side of the coin, you don't have to admit when you're wrong. You can just say you were right, and people go,
well, I think. What do you mean, like on the right wing side?
Yeah, you don't have to admit when you're wrong.
Well, but I would counter that it's exact same on the opposite side.
Okay, I mean, I would disagree because I think that there's a lot of things out there that people go, oh, people said we're gonna this happen, then this happened, but it's like when you talk about the NBA specifically, like go in under the NBA is gonna go the way of Bud Light. Anheuser-Busch is fucking fine. It's fine. Like you've created a story and you're just sticking to it. Bud Light has gone bankrupt. Well, it didn't. No, it did. But here's the thing. It didn't. It just didn't.
Well, I mean, again, a lot of those, like the Bud Light issue, that brand, the actual Bud Light brand, did lose a shit ton of money. Now it's owned by a bigger brand, right? InBev, which has tons of different products. Now they're also shifting as a brand, right? Like they have shifted a complete opposite way and leaning into the UFC crowd and all that. They have a huge endorsement. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it did affect it for sure. Now, obviously, they're not quote unquote bankrupt. No.
Right. In fact, if you had, I said it regularly and I'll say it again. Clay Travis went on fucking whatever, some fucking show and talked about the death of Anheuser-Busch. And because I hate him so much, I invested in Anheuser-Busch that day. Thank you, Clay Travis, for making me money. It's up fucking 60% or whatever.
Yeah, I would assume when I was gonna say I would assume when the stock dropped would have been a good time to invest because it's a big enough brand that it's gonna bounce back. Usually. Same way, I mean, side note, it's like if you would have invested in Carnival Cruise during COVID when it was like $1, I mean, it wasn't $1, but whatever it was a share, it's like that business has dramatically bounced back. By the way, that's what we need.
A cruise line? A Dirty Sports cruise?
No, an NBA game on a cruise.
Yeah. Didn't they do a college game on like a fucking aircraft carrier?
They've done a few.
Yeah.
Would
The only thing I want to see on an aircraft carrier is share videos. That's it.
Good reference.
If I could turn
back time. You want to hear something funny? My brother, he knew somebody. This is not even a joke. He had a buddy from grade school and high school that enlisted in the Navy because of that video.
That's like a really weird version of the Pat Tillman story.
Yeah.
I saw 9/11 happen, had to sign up. You guys like, I rubbed my dick raw to that share video, and then I joined the Navy.
Like straight up, that was one of the reasons.
Did he think that that's what happened on aircraft carriers?
I don't know what he thought, but it was definitely one of the reasons. I mean, what is that? Late 80s?
It's early 90s for sure. I don't think it's as far back as late 80s. I'm gonna go even like early to mid 90s.
Let's look it up. Share, turn back time.
No way it's 80s I would say.
It was released in 89.
Wow.
Yeah. Released on June 20th, 1989.
Wow. Well, I'll take that L.
By the way, real quick, speaking of music, I started watching Woodstock 99 on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm like 25 minutes in. It's kind of fascinating, the first 25 minutes. I just remember the chaos. I didn't know that, like, I guess I wasn't paying attention enough because I was in high school at the time. I didn't realize they put it at an abandoned, like, Air Force base.
Fun fact, I got offered, I was working for a radio station in New York City and was offered tickets to go to Woodstock 99 with the radio station crew. And I was like, I'm good. It just like wasn't like I was working at a radio station and the kind of music that I was into then, it just like wasn't that what, you know.
You weren't into Limp Bizkit in 99?
That's what I'm saying. Like the thing is like, you know, you go back, I don't know, obviously we weren't around in the 60s, but so many of those bands from Woodstock, the original Woodstock, were iconic.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were iconic at the time or if they were iconic because of Woodstock or if they're iconic after the fact or whatever. But in the 90s, in the late 90s, just I know it's feels like, oh, sure, I bet you did. But it's like, it just like felt like none of those, like I was like, none of these bands these aren't the bands that like are going to be around 20 years from now. Like this isn't the show I want to see.
Yeah, I forget. I mean, we're not really at the act part yet, so I don't know exactly who was there. I know a few of them, but it was chaos, man.
Yeah, I remember getting offered tickets and then not going, and then working at the radio station, and then being like, oh, they're like burning shit and putting it out with the porta potties. And I was just like, oh, I'm glad I fucking skipped that.
Well, here's what I think they needed. You know, I think it was just chaos. People were hungry. People needed food. They needed just to grill out some butcher box with those fires.
Yeah,
man.
let's go. What
right?
a segue there.
Right?
Wait until you see the segue I do from this segue, by the way. Now that you've upped our segue game.
They need it. You know, they have these fire pits going at Woodstock. They have hundreds of thousands of hungry people.
They should have gotten that burgers for life deal.
I mean, seriously. And you know, ButcherBox delivers. They could just show up to Woodstock. They deliver it right to your doorstep, or in this case, right to your music festival. Just show up with, you know, a curated box. I know you have a wide range of people. So people who are like, I don't do meat, I just want to do fish. Cool. They got you. I'm actually going to cook, true story, I was defrosting some ButcherBox steaks. That's tonight's dinner here at the Ruther household. Is going to be some grilled ButcherBox steaks, some asparagus, and mashed potatoes, Joe.
Well, you like this. Yesterday, I didn't have any dinner plans, and my girlfriend's away for the night. And I'm like, what do I do? And I have all this ButcherBox stuff. But same thing, I got 2 steaks. I'm like, I don't want to eat I don't want to eat one of the steaks. Then when I have another steak, and we can't have a steak night together. So I was just like, wow, I got the prefab Butcher Box burgers, the ones that are ready to go. They're all dialed into they're pre-cut. I just threw a couple of those down and just like, I didn't even have buns. I just went with the bread bun, and it was like perfect. Just made myself a couple cheeseburgers last night, and I was like, man, Butcher Box coming through again.
Right? Well, we got a great deal for you guys. Butcher Box. Let me put this in here. Let me take a look what we got here. We got, I put in the wrong URL, but here's what it actually is. I have it right in front of me. Sign up right now at butcherbox.com/dirty to get our latest special deal. ButcherBox is offering listeners the special deal on the site, which I'm going to pull this up, plus $20 off your first order. Join today by using our link, butcherbox.com/dirty, and use code DIRTY to get this unique deal today. And I will put that in the description of the podcast. So you guys can go ahead and do that. Check that out.
Speaking of beef, Andy, are you following the Kendrick Lamar Drake rap beef?
I have not followed it. I know there's massive beef going on.
Massive beef. Now this is a take. I feel like you may have even had this take before, but I said before when we were talking about Charles Barkley, we're all susceptible to a boomer take. But I'm going to repeat something that I feel like I maybe have even heard Andy Ruther say. It's fun. And I want to say this. I hate Drake. I've always hated Drake. I think Drake's trash. Drake is kind of the embodiment of why I stopped really caring about hip hop, because I was like, oh, this is the number one guy in hip hop. So hip hop is garbage these days. I've hated Drake for fucking, I mean, it's going back 15 years now. I've hated Drake. Kendrick Lamar, I've enjoyed the majority of Kendrick Lamar's shit. I really enjoyed a couple of his albums, and like, but generally when I hear just about anything, I'm like, cool. So I'm on board. It's like, I'm team Kendrick in I'm basically team not Drake in any rap beef. Like, you can't even imagine who Drake would be beefing with that I would side with Drake. But this is my boomer take a little bit. I need my rap beefs to have some threat of violence.
Oh yeah.
Like, if no one's gonna, like, I don't need you guys to like die.
Yeah, no, we need death. That's
like,
the old school.
Here's the thing, like, I don't need anybody to die, but it's like, when I listen to a Drake Kendrick beef, I know that these guys are never gonna fucking see each other. That there's not gonna be punches thrown. No one's gonna shove each other. Like, this is just a beef that exists by essentially two internet people.
No one's getting shot in the aftermath of the Source Awards, is what you're saying,
right? No one's getting anything. No one's getting slapped. No one's getting smacked. No one's getting a bag of dog shit put on their doorstep. Like, this is just a whole thing that exists in the metaverse or whatever. And to me, it's like, it just doesn't hold weight. And this is the way I described it to somebody the other day, is Drake and Kendrick is like a woman's UFC fight. Like, it's enjoyable to watch, but it's just like, it doesn't grip me, because like, no one's really getting hurt here. No one's going to die. Like, there's no chance of anybody dying. There's not even like, really, honestly, no one's going to get seriously injured. They just don't hit hard enough.
Well, it's like,
but it's like, cool. I'll still watch you guys like smack each other and shit, but
yeah, well, there's a lot to it. If you're releasing a diss track when we grew up, and you might die because of your diss track, that's some serious pressure.
I know, and that's the other thing. They're like, oh my god, he's like, they're going like, Kendrick's like, go, like, I've seen the joke, like, you know, like Drake's like, you're short, and Kendrick's like, I fucking hate you, and they're like, Kendrick's crazy. Tupac's like, I fucked your wife. I fucked your wife. Kendrick Lamar's like, I hate you. Like, okay.
So that's what their beef is over?
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I think their beef is over that they hate each other. But like, the things that they're shooting, but in quotes, because no one's shooting anything. But like, Drake's doing a lot of like, you're short and you're lame. And Kendrick's coming back with like, you're a pedophile, which, like, strong play. I'll give him that. But like, I fucked your wife is some shit you fucking shoot a dude over. You're a pedophile. It's some shit where you're like, yeah, I mean, I am, but like, let's not, like, it's not cool that we talked about it. Like,
What's the pedophilia claims?
well,
What's the
you know, the whole
basis?
thing with like the he was hanging with like Millie Bobby Brown for a while. A chick like that's. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, Andy. Like this beat, like the chick from Stranger Things, like a kid from Stranger Things, is involved in the foremost rap beef of like the current generation, not of our generation. Our generation's the foremost rap beef. Everyone is dead, and they killed each other.
Yeah.
So, not of our generation, but of the current generation, the foremost rap beef involves the kid from Stranger Things. Can you imagine if Biggie Tupac, they were like, and you fucked Lisa Turtle when she was underage? You'd be like, what is this?
Yeah, it's pretty weak, man.
You took her to the max while fucking Screech watched. And you're like, what is this? Now, don't get me wrong. There's like some great lines in there or whatever. And I also said to my buddy that I was talking to our boy Lyle Barons the other day. He's like his social media is all about this rap beef. And I was also like, forget the not violence thing. But like, and I was like, this isn't supposed to be racist, but like, if Eminem was involved, I feel like it'd be over. It's like, if it just feels like, it feels like a UFC women's fight. Like, they take full on swings at each other and they punch each other in the face. I'm like, it doesn't even feel like, seems like it hurt. Like, because they're just so weak fisted.
I think that's actually disrespectful to UFC women. You making that
Okay.
analogy?
Okay.
I think you got to lower it to something else.
I saw somebody say like, if you don't think this is like fucking what's up, that like it was basically calling me a racist hater and a non-hip hop enjoyer. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not like that big into it, but like I also said the other day, it's basically Israel Palestine with me right now. Like the whole world is up in arms in Israel Palestine, and I'm like, I care about Drake Kendrick like I care about Israel Palestine. Like, yeah, I guess I lean toward one side a little bit more, but I don't really care for both things. Just like let me know if Wu-Tang gets involved. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. If Wu-Tang doesn't get involved in Israel Palestine, just like I don't really care. Let me know if the RZA takes sides.
I knew I didn't care enough. The fact that I knew there was a beef and did not click on anything, did not research anything.
And I'm saying this, I fucking hate Drake.
Maybe this is just a smokescreen for nobody's talking about Diddy anymore.
Right. That could very well be.
Nobody? Diddy is accused of like the worst of the worst stuff 6 weeks ago. Haven't heard a peep. He hasn't been arrested. Nobody's like, hey, man, what's on those tapes? Sus. You know who we should bring on? And he's sitting right in the queue. He's a Canadian. He can hop into this Drake beef. Let's see if he has any sort of
It's
say.
Drake? Is that who we have waiting in the queue? We have a Canadian?
Drake. We have Drake. Okay. We have someone even better than Drake. We have our hockey correspondent, Ryan Klatt, sitting there.
AKA Lil Poutine.
Hello, Andy.
What's going on, Ryan?
Ryan's one of those coal-powered webcams.
That's what it looks like anyway, doesn't it, eh? Got some poor lighting in here, but you got to hide away from the kids and the wife, so you got to make do what I got here.
Now, you're famously a Leafs fan.
Correct.
Sorry about that. That's over. They lost to Boston, correct?
Yep. Got, my soul shattered once again, just like every spring. So
does being a Leafs fan, I imagine that the Venn diagram of Leafs fans and Drake fans is like basically a circle, right? Like, are you like a Drake stan?
I'm not a Drake stan whatsoever. I've got no dog in that Kendrick Drake fight. Like, okay, I'm not a huge rap guy, but I mean, if we're talking rap, like Kendrick's surely a better rapper, right?
Sure,
that's a no brainer, right?
I think that's what I thought the whole world thought until I realized that there were people that were like Team Drake, and you're like, oh, who are you weirdos?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's Canadian and all, but I mean, he's embarrassed us a few times too. So, yeah, I got no dog in that fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking in from we figured, our north of the border correspondent.
I mean,
yeah.
Breno, you're hitting Ryan just off the. You're just not wasting any time with the Leafs. I mean,
Well,
7
we can get
games.
into that. We can get into that now.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let me.
Well, he's a hockey correspondent. What do you want me to ask him? What he made for fucking dinner? Like Prado going hard at our hockey correspondent, asking him about hockey.
Yeah, we need to talk about Cat Williams for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But
Bruce, our new Cat Williams special, by the way. Are you?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay.
So yeah, the Leafs. Let me tell you what it's like. Just nonstop pain and misery every single spring. And like they can't just like lose in 5 games and just like after 4 games it was like, okay, well, this one's done, right? But they get your hopes up, they get back in the series, force games. And I said last time I was on, it's gonna go 7. But sure enough, they forced 7 and did lose in the most heartbreaking way fashion in overtime. They need to blow this fucking team up. I'm so sick of it. I'm done. It's just it stings every time. I should be used to it by now, but
what were the
every single time?
What were your guys' like seedings? Like, were you expected to win the series?
No. I mean, there was Boston was 2nd in the division and Toronto was 3rd. So they were pretty close, but I don't think many people had Toronto winning.
But we also had, I know you told us that there's a President's Cup curse. But last year, Boston had like one of the best teams ever, right?
They had the best regular season record ever. They lost in the first round. So
now they're back, not as good a regular season, and they've gotten through the first round against your Leafs.
Yeah, because it was against my Leafs, though. That's the
right.
Boston. This is the 4th straight playoff series win for the Bruins over the Leafs. This is the 4th time they've played each other in the last 10 years, and Boston's won in 7 games every single time, and it's just been crushing every single time. And this core of players that have been together on the Leafs for 8 years, 8 playoff appearances and 1 second round appearance. I'm ready for them to just dismantle some things. I think you got to keep Matthews, but that other than him,
I was going to say, I don't know a lot about refreshing a hockey roster, but I got to imagine Matthews is the guy that he's good enough. You keep him, you build around. Is hockey the kind of place where moving a Matthews would potentially garner you like a head start on a rebuild kind of thing? Like, is that like
I can't think of the last time a team
player of that caliber,
like maybe Boston when they moved Joe Thornton in 2006 and Joe Thornton won the MVP that same year. But then Boston was pretty shit for a few years after that. They won a cup 5 years later, but I can't think of many examples where you move a player of that caliber. Like, he's the best goal scorer in the league, and he's also really good defensively too. He's up for the Selke this year. He scored 69 goals this year. Nice, yeah. Almost became the first to get to 70 since Mario. So that was a big story this year. But other than him, Nylander just signed a big extension. They're probably not going to move him. And then a lot of people are screaming for Mitch Marner to be moved. And I wouldn't mind seeing him go. The guy is just not built for playoff hockey. He's extremely skilled, but he's not it. He's not him. So got to move him, but he's got a no move clause. So it's going to be tough.
So would you say that you need to derail this current team?
I would say that, yeah.
Do we have any train derailments lately?
Lately, geez, I can't. I talked last time I was on about that big one that happened last summer, and I touched on the time that I derailed a train. So I can't think of any big ones lately, but it just happens here and there. Just a few cars go on the ground here and there, and you just clean them up, move on.
Prano, what's more hard hitting, a train derailment or the Kendrick Lamar Drake
Yeah.
beef?
Like he can only weigh in on trains in Canada shit. I want to get back to hockey. Boston moves on.
Yeah.
Boston now goes on to play who?
Florida.
Florida.
So,
Who do you like?
I need to.
Who do you like in that series?
Oh, I like Florida. I like Florida the most out of the East. No offense to your Rangers. I think Florida is just a complete wagon, well-oiled machine. I think they're going to steamroll Boston, hopefully in 5 games. I want to see Boston just embarrassed. I want them to be fucking crying.
I want a Rangers, Boston, Knicks, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals happening simultaneously. I want New York, Boston, but it feels like that's more likely in the NBA than it is in hockey.
Yeah. I can't see Boston getting through this series, and I feel confident in saying that because, man, my picks in the first round, the kid's hot again. It was 7 for 8. I don't know if you guys looked at my comment I left. I left all my picks, and I was 7 for 8, and I even picked 3 of the 4 series in the West. I even had the series length correct.
Wow.
So,
And this is
all right.
Substack.
So then give us these series. Who do you got in each of these series?
So I like
Florida over Boston in 5.
Florida over Boston in 5. I'm going to give them 5. And I think I mentioned last time I was on, like, my preseason pick out of the East was the Hurricanes. But if I had to pick somebody right now between the Rangers and the Hurricanes, I would pick the Rangers. Especially they won game 1 as well.
Right.
So the Rangers are looking real nice right now. Great forward depth. Like, they're looking like the Harlem Globetrotters on the power play. They got Igor Shesterkin in net just kicking. So I like
what's
them.
His name?
Igor Shesterkin. He's Russian.
Shesterkin, Muhammad Jihad.
The Russians just have a.
That sounds like a sexual term, dude. I gave her the Shesterkin. Like, what a great name.
Yeah, those Russians have some pretty crafty names.
I mean, that feels like it's a thing in the NHL yearly as a casual hockey fan. It's the hot goalie too.
That's right.
If you had to pick a team that could go further than you think, based solely on goal play, what team is that?
Okay, of the teams that are left, I mean, I like Dallas with Jake Ottinger's their goalie. They're going up against Colorado. To segue into that one a little bit, that was the one pick that I got wrong, was Jets Avalanche. And the main reason why was because the Jets have the likely Vezina winner as their goalie and great depth. And Colorado has like one of the stinkiest goalies in the league. So I hated that mismatch. But Colorado just steamrolled them. And Connor Hellebuyck, the Jets goalie, let in 4+ goals every game. He was terrible. So Colorado's moving on. That's going to be a great series. Colorado, Dallas, are really good teams going. I think those are the 2 best teams in the West right now.
Dallas eliminated Vegas, correct?
Vegas, yeah, they took down the defending champs. So, which I was really happy about. So, Dallas, I love their team makeup, a lot of homegrown talent, some great drafting, just a really well-run organization in Dallas. But man,
and then the final pairing would be
Edmonton and Vancouver.
Okay, so a Canadian team will have to reach the Western Conference Finals.
That's right, but also one of them is going down too. So we're only going to have one left after this round, and I've been pumping Edmonton and Connor McDavid's tires for a while now, and I'm going to continue. Like, he's just incredible. He's just fucking incredible. And the Oilers just completely dismantled the Kings. Like, their power play is just clicking at over 50%. It's just insane to watch right now. So I like Edmonton to like just steamroll Vancouver too. I don't think that.
So we've got an Edmonton, Dallas, Rangers, Florida potential conference finals if we filled out the Klatt card.
I actually think I'm going to go with Colorado over.
Oh,
I love Dallas's team, but I think my gut's just screaming at me Colorado. I just think they're just rolling right now too much. I think.
All right.
They got the best defenseman in the league. I don't know if you guys have heard of Cale Makar.
Nope, never in my life until right now.
Yeah, he's okay. Well, let me fill you in. He's going to go down. He's gonna go down as one of the best defensemen ever. He's the best skater I've ever seen. He's insane. So
The best skating defenseman you've ever seen, or the best skater you've ever seen?
like him and McDavid, probably like two. He's the Connor McDavid of defensemen. Just think of him that way. He's just so electric to watch. The way he walks the line and his edge work, my God, it's a symphony out there. So I like him, and
Michelle
Nathan
Vaughn
McKinnon
is the greatest skater I've ever seen personally, but
oh yeah. I would like to see her go toe to toe against Cale Makar. I
Well,
don't
talk to
think
me.
she'd like the outcome.
Talk to me about the mascot situation, if you know anything. Now you're talking Colorado. For dirtballs who missed it, we know that the highest paid mascot is Rocky the Mountain Lion for the Nuggets. Joe wasn't
Right.
sure if he was for both teams, and now I see the Avalanche have Bernie the Saint Bernard.
Right. Oh, speaking of dogs, yeah, here's my dog. Why don't you come here?
Making a debut, a little Dirty Sports debut.
Come here.
Klatt family dog. Oh, look at that.
She could be a ski dog too, eh?
Yeah, she's a cute dog. What do we got here? What type
She's
of dog?
she's a sheepadoodle, so she's a sheepdog cross with a poodle. I know Joe hates his doodles, but she's a good one right here.
their human eyes freak me out.
Well, yeah,
She
that's
does have human eyes, yeah, that's for sure.
no. I feel that's what Roscoe has because he's got the.
Meanwhile,
The-
I've
the
got this
doodle.
big fucking idiot over here. Look at this
Oh, look at that
bag of
hole.
bones.
It's taking up that whole bed. Anyways, what were we talking about here? Bernie?
We're talking about the mascot Bernie the Saint Bernard. Looks pretty weak. Not gonna lie.
Was that not Ski
That's-
Dog? I wasn't listening before you guys brought me on last time. Where did Ski Dog even come from? I thought that was you guys were referencing the Avalanche mascot.
Yeah, that's who that was. That isn't that who we're referencing, Andy? Wasn't it that Avalanche mascot?
Well, Rocky the Mountain Lion is the Nuggets mascot. We were laughing about how much money he makes. He makes like $600,000 a year.
Yeah, 3-4 times what Caitlin Clark makes to play basketball.
Yeah, I don't know how Ski Dog got into the fold.
Yeah, you
Because
guys had me
I asked
fooled.
if he did both jobs. Is that how he got $600,000 to?
And a dirtball commented and said it's a ski dog, which now I'm actually looking up. I don't really think that's what does ski dog
Oh,
mean? Because
I
this
mean-
is the mascot's Bernie the Saint Bernard.
Yeah, and
Is that
could a Saint Bernard be a ski dog? I don't think it would fare too well. I think they're a little too, too fat. I don't think they could pull a sled very well.
No. Well,
So wait, now Ski Dog's like not even a mascot. That's just it. We have an entire character based on misinformation.
That whole bit is just fucking in the garbage.
entire
bag.
character.
Ski Dog's so coked out that he thinks he's the mascot for the Avalanche. He's just showing up to Avalanche games. Ski Dog. And they're like, you don't work here, dude.
We have an entire segment, entire caller. We named an episode Intro to Ski Dog, literally all on false information. It's Bernie the Saint Bernard.
Yeah. I thought I was like, oh yeah, Ski Dog, that sounds right. You had me going the whole episode, and I was like, oh, isn't his name Bernie? Yeah.
I like
Oh.
how you hop in and you have no clue. You're like, what the
I like
hell's
that it's
happening?
Bernie too. It just makes me like I'm just picturing Bernie Sanders as a dog. Oh, we got. I don't want to give any more money to Ski Dog. He's living on cocaine. I do want to give him his student loans back, but that's it. No cocaine money.
Once again, I'm asking for more treats.
Oh, too funny. Well, those are your predictions. Now, are you willing to go further? Like, do you still have who you like in the Stanley Cup final?
Well, yeah, my preseason pick was Oilers Hurricanes, and they're still both alive, so that's still kicking. As I mentioned, though, I do, if I had to pick now, I like Rangers over Hurricanes, and I think Edmonton's going to get through Vancouver, and then I guess we're just going to we're going to go from there. I think it's going to be a tough matchup after that, but Edmonton's got a pretty easy ride to the Western Conference Finals.
I would be ecstatic about it. I think I talked about this last year, but an Edmonton Rangers Finals, a Mark Messier Cup with, McDavid being the man. It's always nice to see like the star of stars there, but alas, again, I don't really give a fuck about it. I'd like the Rangers could die in a plane crash if it means the Pacers lose to the Knicks in game 1. So that's how much I care about fucking hockey.
Oh, geez. Well, there has been that has happened to a hockey team before, so careful.
Wait, what?
Oh, a team in Russia got in a plane crash and like their whole team died, and there was like a few former NHLers on board, like Pavel Dimitra.
Wasn't there a Canadian bus crash too that killed a hockey team?
Oh yeah, that was in Humboldt, which was like half hour from where I grew up.
That's like pretty recent, right?
That was in 2018. Yeah, that was a rough one. Yeah.
They had to swerve a car that was leaving a wine bar, apparently. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, Jacob Faith.
Jacob Faith is responsible for the fucking Canadian bus crash,
and now he's working for that league.
I know.
Too soon, Joe. Too
soon.
Oh man, I'm crying laughing. What a great reference right there. Now, as a Canadian,
60 people who worked in that league died, and he suddenly got a job. It just so happened he's
pulling the right strings.
Unbelievable.
Pulling the right bolts off of a fucking bus tire is what he's pulling.
This is the savagery today. As a Canadian, though, you got to be, if it comes down to an American team versus a Canadian team, you're always going to root for the Canadian team, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's been, since the Canadians last won in 93, every Canadian team has made it to the final except for the Leafs and I guess the Jets. And I was cheering hard for like the Flames, and the Oilers went on magical runs, and the Canucks in 2011, the Senators. Is there
no team where you're like, no, fuck them, I hate them so much? Like, it feels like in college sports, it's always like, well, if we can't win, let it be somebody else from the SEC. But then Auburn's like, fuck Alabama.
You mean in terms of Canadian teams?
Yeah. Like, is there a team that you would be like in Canada where if they got to the finals against an American team, you'd be like, fuck them?
Yeah, Montreal. Montreal made it to the final in 2021.
That was going to be my guess.
And I was like, absolutely not. Fuck them. And Tampa beat them. That was one of the worst Stanley Cup finals in recent memory. Tampa just slaughtered them. So, Montreal would be the only one. Any other Canadian team, Ottawa doesn't really move me very much. They made it to the Cup final in 2007 with, they had a pretty sick team with Alfredson and Heatley and Spezza, but they got dismantled by Anaheim. They just got bullied. So, other than that, I would be super pumped if any Canadian team made it, especially Edmonton with Connor McDavid. I think that would just be a tremendous for the league to have your best player in the final, his first final, looking for his first cup yet. And I think his ninth, this is year 9 for him. So he's really got to add that to his legacy.
Any updates on the MILFs, the moms of the hockey players? We got any scoop? We got any gossip? What's going on?
Well, Corey Perry's on the Oilers, so those moms in Edmonton are in trouble for sure. But he's a good.
Do you think hockey guys, like if we were going to rate, I know what you're going to say at this point now. Like if we were going to rate partiers for the big 4 sports.
Yeah, it's hockey guys.
It's hockey guys, right?
For sure.
Like it's not even close.
No.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, I guess it also depends on like what your definition is of like I in a per capita like consumption thing. Like I gotta imagine like the Jason Kelce's of the world. I imagine that guy drinks like 60 beers in a sitting. You know what I mean? It seems like he takes shits bigger than most hockey players. But at the same time, like if you were talking about the average player across the league, I think you're more likely for like there's a higher percentage of hockey guys that are just going out and fucking tying one on every night than probably in any other sport.
I would agree with that. And I'll let you guys in on some lore, like the 2012 LA Kings. They sneaked into the playoffs as an 8 seed, and they just like steamrolled through every team. It was like 4 or 5 games every series on their way to the final. So they had a bunch of time
Theory
off.
being everybody came to LA and partied.
Well, possibly, yeah. But I was about to say, so they had long layovers between each series, and apparently they just got after it after every series, like 4-day benders. And
Love it.
Game 1 of every series, they'd just be super flat. But Jonathan Quick, he had the best playoff run of any goalie ever that year. So they managed to win as an 8 seed that year. So, that was some good lore there. Just bender after bender on your way to a Stanley Cup. I love that.
I love it.
That is some good lore. Yeah, even I, guy doesn't know shit. Living in LA, I knew the Jonathan Quick. Was he the goalie when they won again a couple years later?
Yeah, he was. He didn't have like as good of a run that year. They relied a bit more on goal scoring in 2014 when they beat the Rangers in the final. But 2012 was the best goaltending performance in the playoffs ever, and it was because the boys, the boys were hurting. I think you could point to that as being the reason.
I would probably put baseball second.
I was gonna say, yeah, because
They
you
have
got
those
a lot
big-
of country boys. Latinos love to fucking party. I mean, we all know that Fernando Valenzuela drinks 60 fucking 60 silver bullets on his days off in the fucking clubhouse.
Yeah.
Wade Boggs drinking 115 beers.
And then wasn't one day he was the starter and he didn't know it. He was just crippled.
Yeah. And just like also, like the travel, the fucking, it's the grind. You don't have to go like get up for it. It's like football. I feel like there's so much recovery. Like during the off season, they probably party pretty good, but during the season, it's just like so much recovery, and then like you're back at it, whatever. I don't feel like those guys go on. I would probably go. Basketball is tough too because you got a lot of those guys who party, but with the Euro vibe and everything, I don't know. I would say definitely hockey, baseball, and then I'd have to consider it a little bit more for the third of 4 spots.
Baseball too, they got those. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think you are too either, Joe. But they like have those big parties after like clinching a playoff spot.
Oh yeah,
they got like the fucking plastic around the room, and they got I think it's all just a big Bud Light ad or whatever, probably. Yeah. But and the ski goggles, and it's like they're celebrating like they won the World Series for clinching a playoff spot, and then winning the wild card game, and then winning the first round. It's like, aren't you kind of diluting your eventual?
Couldn't agree more. I think you should. If you win your division in the regular season, like the day you clinch your division, and only first place, fuck the wild card. The day you clinch your division, you have a fucking thing, and then you can do it to go to the World Series, and you can do it if you win the World Series.
Yeah,
every fucking round is ludicrous.
It's too much, yeah. And I know I just talked about the Kings, but that was all behind closed doors, so that's okay. They have it televised on baseball, so I don't.
One of my favorite stories for just showing like baseball guys going crazy. This is like a no-name pitcher. I actually just looked him up. I remember his name. My buddy is partying. We just graduated high school, and my buddy's downtown in Cincinnati. Imagine if this happened in 2024. Guy gets called from AAA team for the Reds. He pitches. His name's Rod Bell. I just looked him up. Played 6 years, 2000 to 2005. Anyway, guy just gets called up. He pitches his first game for the Reds. He's in the bar afterwards, stands up on the bar, drops his pants, just starts flipping his dong around and goes, "I played for the Reds." like that's some hockey shit there, but that's why I think baseball could, give a run. Because some of those guys used to always come down to our campus bars in St. Louis when I went to St. Louis U. Some of the Cardinals guys, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting, but I'll have to tell you off air. I have partied with some NHL guys too.
Oh yeah, you can't name drop though on here.
I'm not going to name drop them.
Oh,
you know why? And one of them was
protecting random hockey players. Suddenly,
are they retired though? At least, like,
I'm not sure because I'm protecting my buddy who's good friends with him.
Okay.
Okay,
That's fair enough.
Like they were in his my buddy played minor leagues for hockey, and then he manages some of these guys' money. So I don't want to. And some were in his wedding, so
Okay.
like some big names too.
Oh yeah.
And I remember going after it with these guys at his wedding, and I was like, God, you guys don't fuck around.
Oh yeah, they don't fuck around. Like if you guys are ever curious, I'm not going to get into it because it's too long of a story. But look up like Jeremy Roenick like hazing story on the San Jose Sharks. It is unbelievable, the fucking hazing stories he did to these two rookies. Like had them believe that he invited them to a call party and got all these actors to like stab this girl and like eat her and stuff. And it was just like it was all a prank, and it was so intense. But look it up if you're at all interested. Hockey players don't fuck around.
No,
You can't talk about murder, rookies.
Yeah, it's a crazy one.
well,
But,
Ryan, it's good to have you back on. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll do this again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. The only one more thing I wanted to mention, I was looking at the odds. The Oilers are the favorite right now, but Colorado Avalanche way down there. They're plus 625 right now. So, maybe give that one a little sprinkle.
To win it all.
625 to win it all.
Okay.
So I like those odds a lot for Colorado. So other than that, just sulk in my Leafs misery a bit here, and see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good, man. Well, thanks for joining us, and keep us in the loop, and I'll send you some DMs. I'll slide into those DMs later.
Yeah.
Give you a little dirt on some of these hockey guys I party with.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
In fact, I was on. Yeah, I'll send you DMs. I was on an interesting text change. We talked about Prino and I were talking about text chain earlier, like text threads, and I was on one, and I'll let you know, one of these guys' bachelor parties, and dude, I was getting sent videos of their bachelor party. It was pretty wild. I'll just say that much. But yeah, I'll shoot you a message. Well, thanks, Ryan. Good luck on the train, and if you got any erotic train photos of any trains derailed,
train photos,
send me those. Send me those as well.
Well, that took a weird turn, but sure.
All right, bud. Good talking.
All right. See you guys later.
It's official. I cracked a beer, Andy.
Well, it's 12:14 your time.
Yeah. A little Guinness.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Thank you. I deserve it.
Sure. Like I said, whatever whatever helps you. There's no you don't have to do. There's no like, oh, I can't drink until whatever.
Yeah, I'm an adult.
Now, if you were like,
if I was hanging out with the chicks that Drake hangs out with, maybe not the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you had to go pick up like a kid from daycare or something, I'd be like, I don't know about that one. But you don't.
I don't. You do.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, you don't drink at all. So I'll drink for both of us, Andy. Did you watch the Tom Brady roast at all?
I watched a fair amount of clips on Twitter.
Your boy Gronk was out of control. They were making fun of him for how dumb he was the whole time. And then he went up and he got to do the thing, and he's fucking dumb.
So I haven't watched. I've seen jokes about him. I haven't seen him. So I haven't watched. I was trying not to watch too much because I want to actually watch it, not just the highlights. Now, you and I discussed before the show, it's 3 hours. So
I wonder because it was live. I wonder if they'll cut it up after the fact and then put up like a shorter version or whatever. I mean, 3 hours, like when you watch the old roasts, you got to imagine those are probably pretty long too. And then they cut them down. And man, this could have used that. This could have used an editor.
Well, I do like that it's the old school, no holds barred roast.
Yeah.
Anything goes. I mean, I saw some Aaron Hernandez jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that.
I thought of a funny joke after Gronkowski was up there. I was like, if I was roasting, this is what I'd say. I was like, keep it going for Rob Gronkowski, everybody. Holy shit. Rob Gronkowski's brain is so riddled with CTE, and he's so terrible at delivering jokes. When Tony Hinchcliffe saw him backstage, he was like, "What state are we moving to next, boss?"
That's a Comedy World deep cut right there.
Yeah. As for my boy Drew, who's a dirtball who works the door of the mothership.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it like over the next 6 months because it's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
But I think I'll start.
Tom Brady at the end, he comes up at the end. One killer line though, which was about I'll do one spoiler for you. He goes, the NFL spent $20 million to prove that I did Deflategate. They should have just given me the $20 million, and I would have told them I fucking did it. Which I was like, it's about time we admitted this. Boston fans in shambles, but
that's funny. Yeah, I saw that. That was good. No, I'll watch it. I like that Netflix is obviously moving into roast.
Yeah,
because Comedy Central, I just don't think Comedy Central is a thing anymore. So they just stopped doing them.
I guess
they were real good for a while, man. I thought Comedy Central roast.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'll definitely watch that. And I guess they got everybody out, right?
They got everybody out.
Like they got Belichick and they got
Kraft,
they got
Belichick, Kraft, a bunch of his team. I mean, Julian Edelman was there. Bledsoe. Bledsoe was actually pretty funny. Bledsoe did a pretty good job.
I saw one of his jokes.
Yeah,
the marriage joke.
Yeah.
Was Giselle actually there and they just didn't show her?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Kim Kardashian was there.
I saw that. I saw the Brady joke on Kim K.
Peyton Manning came out.
I saw Eli's tweet today. Eli was not there.
Yeah, Eli was not there. Peyton was there. Peyton was the last roaster before Brady went up. They kept trying to do like surprises. The surprise guests were Belichick, Ben Affleck, and Peyton Manning.
Well, look, I'll say this. Whoever is in charge of Brady, I think they've done a good job his post-career as far as the PR and just how it looks. Didn't Brady do did he do a Taylor Swift joke against Kansas City?
He did, yes. It was okay.
I wonder who wrote Brady's jokes. I was thinking that.
I was thinking when he did the Taylor Swift joke, I was like, this is a perfect another one I thought of was like, we got Nikki Glazer here and Gronk here. We can get them together as the retarded version of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
That's funny. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
So will you watch it?
I watched it.
Oh, you watched the whole thing?
I watched it, yeah. I fast forwarded through some shit because I was just like, basically, if you started cold, I was like, I don't need to see this. Like there were some halfway decent jokes. Also, Kevin Hart, just like, I never need to see Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart's comedy Drake. Like, sit down, dude. Like every time anybody make fun of Kevin Hart, he'd stand up, walk around. I need far less Kevin Hart in my life. In fact, I need no Kevin Hart in my life.
You think he's addicted to working?
I don't. I think he's one of those people that's just like addicted to attention.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I work like basically him.
Yeah.
Which is also work.
Sure.
It's like you just don't want to take a break.
But I don't think he's addicted to like the craft. I think he's addicted to being famous.
I mean, he's in every commercial, every movie, TV show.
Yeah. He's probably also just addicted to money.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy that he came to my college my fifth year. And the same spot he performed at was the first spot I ever performed to get paid 2 months later. 2005.
I think it was Tom Brady who had a good fight. He was making fun of Kevin Hart being from Philadelphia. He's like, in Philly, they got to grease the poles so the fans don't climb him after wins. He goes, they grease them by rubbing someone from Philadelphia on them.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I think we'll watch it together. I was told I cannot start it without.
Oh, okay.
I was told today, and then I got a text. I'm sorry, I'm really curious. I started watching it during my lunch break.
Oh, wow.
What's that? Don't tell me we have to watch it together, and then you start watching it during your lunch. So I couldn't wait. I was too curious.
I have a bit that I've been trying to work on about how I know a TV show is like really good versus like elite TV shows versus good TV shows versus bad TV shows. Elite TV shows like Succession, right? Your girl's like, don't watch it without me. I watch it anyway because I know it's so good. I can watch it a second time. A good TV show, I can watch it a second time, but she'll be like, you're on your phone. You're not even paying attention. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm doing something. And then a bad TV show, I'm like, I can't watch it because I can't fucking sit through it again for a second time. It's just like, no, I cannot watch this show fucking twice. But Succession, she'll be like, don't watch it without me. I've watched it 3 times without you. I'm going to watch it a 4th time with you. And because you're a woman, I'll explain to you what's going on.
So do you know about my etiquette with watching shows?
No.
I've ever talked about this. It drives her crazy. So I'm probably one of the few people who does this.
When she gets up, you have to pause it?
Yeah, I'm fully vested.
Yeah.
So and even for her. So if we're watching something and she's in, so like you've seen my house, like the master bedroom, like it's open next to the bathroom and where like the vanity is and all that shit. Like if she's in there like brushing her teeth, I'll be like, no. She's like, just play it. I was like, no, you're missing stuff. And
because then they want to come back and they want to ask you what happened anyway. Now it's like, fuck it, I may as well pause it and then you watch it. I mean, I find myself explaining shows to my girlfriend when she's watching it with me for the first time. She's like, what do you think? What happens to this guy? I'm like, I haven't seen this yet. I'm watching it with you.
So she gets mad at me when I do pause it, when I know she's not picking up on stuff. And she'll say, why are you pausing it? Stop pausing it. I go, do you understand what just happened?
Yeah.
And she'll go, well, what do you mean? I go, do you understand the significance of what that character just said? And then I'm explaining stuff like you're saying, and then I'm somehow the bad guy, which you missed it. It went right over your head.
You're mansplaining it, Andy.
Speaking of that, Brittany and I watched the new Roadhouse this weekend.
Horrible, right?
Oh my God.
Horrible.
Dude, I could not stop making jokes. I just don't. What?
So many things. So many things.
So like Conor McGregor is its own thing of just he's the worst actor of all time.
The worst of all time.
Worst of all time.
Yeah. Here's my issues with it. One, so you murdered a guy in the UFC. So I guess you can't fight UFC anymore, but you're also not in jail.
Well, that's what I kept saying.
What is the issue? So you'll beat a guy up still, but you just won't do it with like a referee there? Or were you kicked out of the UFC for killing a guy? But then if you were kicked out of the UFC for killing a guy, wouldn't you just be in jail?
Yeah, well, obviously that is the biggest question. And then also I said, I'm watching it saying, I don't know. So I said this, I'm not a UFC guy. So if I was out at the grocery store and a UFC guy was grocery shopping, I wouldn't recognize him. But you know what I would recognize? The guy who made national news for killing somebody in a fight.
Right.
So that was my thing. I go, the thought that nobody recognizes a guy who murdered somebody in front of 20,000 people at the MGM is hilarious to me. Nobody's like, yeah, that's the dude.
Hey, you're that murdering UFC fighter. And then also he has 1 3-second conversation with the black girl at the bookstore. And now he's like, well, I guess I got to fight to save this black girl's fucking bookstore. You're like, why, dude? Like, what are you talking about? Can you imagine if every time you went into a fucking store and the person wasn't just like regular to you, they were just like nice to you? You're like, well, now I guess I live in this town and make sure nothing happens to this Starbucks.
There are
Also, how about the Portuguese Florida sheriff?
Yeah, what was his accent?
Well, this is my theory. So this is my theory on it, Andy. They cast her first. They're like, we need a young starlet, which you always do.
Sure.
And it was a bunch of young girls that some producer had fucking jacked off on. And it was like, who gets to be in the next movie? And they was like, you. And she happened to be a Portuguese girl. So then they were like, well, now we got to find somebody to play her dad. I guess he's got to be Portuguese too. Why? Why doesn't he? Maybe her mom's Portuguese and he's American. How did a Portuguese immigrant that can barely speak English end up being the sheriff of a Florida town? Have you ever been to Florida? They hate immigrants, like with a passion. No one's voting an immigrant in Florida sheriff.
Unless they're Cuban.
Even then, they're not voting for him. They're like, this is the problem with Florida. All these goddamn Cubans.
There are so many plot holes in that movie. So many.
Yeah.
They don't even really fully explain the business and his dad and
no.
Like if you were selling drugs and you would have legit dudes.
Also, sell your bar, bitch. Who cares? You run the shittiest, weird. You're like, you went with you were going with some Patrick Swayze Roadhouse throwback vibe where you put your bands on behind chicken wire. Well, this is just a lawsuit waiting to happen. Just sell your bar to the fucking crazy drug dealer guy.
You know what else we love too?
Fucking
the amount of like we were saying watching it, like the things these dudes are getting in fights over.
Yeah.
I was like, in 2024, can you imagine? Like nobody fights.
The other worst actor dude is the son of the guy, like the guy, you know what I mean? He's one of the worst actors I've ever seen. And I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. That's the guy whose agent I need.
But then even the hot Portuguese doctor, she just suddenly decides you're my boyfriend.
Right.
Like that plot line just creeps up out of nowhere.
How about this? He finds out that they have her. So he's like, well, I was going to leave, but they have my girlfriend. So I'll stay. And then he leaves anyway. He gets on a bus at the end. He just leaves. It's over. The whole thing. He sticks around and then he just leaves. Why didn't you leave before you fucking had to crash a boat and shit, dude? Like you just left your chick anyway?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen.
Well, how about this? A nature one. It would be an alligator, not a crocodile who eat the guy.
Yeah.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking it up. Correct me if I'm wrong. We only have alligators in the United States. We don't have crocodiles.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think I'm almost 100% right.
Sure. That's really, of all the plot holes, that's the.
Oh, okay. I guess there is.
Okay.
Crocodiles exist in Mexico, Central and South America, the Caribbean, and South Florida.
Okay. There you go. How about this? They burned down your bookstore. Take your fucking insurance money. Like you just got the biggest win of all time. Have you heard of Amazon? Have you heard of Amazon? Get the fuck out of the book selling business.
I was hung up on the crocodile. The whole movie, I was hung up on the crocodile versus alligator situation. And I did have one of those 3 chai. So I was a little stoned. And I kept being like, there's no fucking crocodiles. It's only, stop calling it. Like, that's what I was hung up on a lot of things. I was really hung up on that. Classic me. Hung up on the stupid thing.
By the way, I love that Ruther, of all the people, you insist on calling it Reese's Pieces, which is, again, ludicrous. But you're at least smart enough to realize that is supposed to rhyme, even though it's obviously supposed to be Reese's Pieces. But you don't know it's 3 chi. 3 chi. It rhymes, Andy. You love being 3 chai guy.
Whatever. Tomato. But Conor McGregor, I know I said this because I had just seen some highlights. I don't know why he doesn't. I don't know what accent he's doing. Just be yourself.
Right. Also, like, what is he supposed to be? What is anybody in this movie supposed to be?
I don't know what his role is.
Like Jake Gyllenhaal he's a bouncer because he has a very specific set of skills. He used to be a UFC fighter. He murdered a guy, but they were like, we're not going to press charges, but you've got to leave the UFC. Okay, whatever. Let's ignore that plot hole. What is Conor McGregor?
No one knows.
He's like the male equivalent of a traveling nurse. He's just like a for-hire tough guy for when UFC fighters come to town.
Yeah, I don't know. And that was my whole thing too. I'm like, wait a second. This guy was
is everybody.
This guy is a UFC champ. He's a UFC champ. He's not going to struggle fighting Conor McGregor. Like, you're just some random mercenary. He's not going to struggle fighting you.
Which is so funny because Conor McGregor's UFC champ. They should have reversed it. Should have been like the Conor McGregor is like a UFC guy who's done now, and they bring him in to fight like fucking bouncer dude.
I comedically I enjoyed it. I shouldn't say enjoy. I got again being stoned. I enjoyed it enough to just rip on it the entire movie. But it's terrible.
It's terrible.
I mean, it's and to be honest, it's blasphemous to the original Roadhouse.
But here's the thing, and I've said this to people too. The Roadhouse is a classic but like it's not a good movie. Roadhouse isn't a good movie. Like Roadhouse is ludicrously bad, but like also it like exists in that thing. Like the idea that you took Roadhouse and you gave it more plot holes and worse acting is insane.
It is.
Like you guys had such a low bar in terms of the movie that makes sense.
I know.
Like he's just a bouncer. You know what I mean? But remember, like in Roadhouse, doesn't like the guy at the fucking hardware store or whatever, like fix his car when he comes to town? Shit like that. Like he doesn't just go in and he's like, here's a free fucking book. And he's like, I guess I live here to defend you now. A book? Dude, there's all over LA, there's little fucking like leave a book, take a books. Can you imagine if every time I took a book from one of those things, I was like, I guess I live outside this person's house now in case anybody wants to burn it down.
I know, it's ridiculous. Well, let's wrap it up. We'll get to some calls next episode. We really didn't have too many anyway.
Andy, what we bounced around the NBA. I need some Andy Ruther rooting interests and predictions. Are you at this point? Are you on the Knicks bandwagon? Like, are you rooting for us? It's good for the show. Wow, it's going to Indianapolis. Okay.
No, I didn't say I was rooting for you guys against the Sixers. I want to see a good series. I think you're nuts. I see you say Knicks in 5.
You think I'm nuts? You think it's what?
6 or 7.
And then what are your?
I mean, you want my honest answer is if the Knicks lose, it'd be pretty funny for the show and pretty funny to watch you melt down. I'll be honest.
Oh, okay. I mean, listen. Here's the thing, and I mean, obviously the Philly thing that there was a raised thing. Like I'm already not like that riled up about it. I think and again, if the Knicks were to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I would not predict the Knicks to get to the finals. Obviously, I'd be rooting all of my heart against fucking Boston, which we even have like, even though like the Indiana rivalry is thick, but it's like, it's old. It's an old rivalry. You know what I mean? It's not like a thing. Like we don't have any beef with them. Like at least Pat Riley is still in Miami. Like there's a link to the beef. Like Reggie Miller's doing terrible broadcasting. Fucking Spike Lee's still there. Like no one gives, like, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I think, listen, obviously I'm rooting for them. And I guess I'm rooting for Cleveland to get through Boston.
I'm rooting for Minnesota.
You're rooting for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay, like that. And then now this is an interesting one for you. Dallas with Luka, but also with Kyrie, or OKC.
Well, that's an interesting rivalry because they're only 3 hours apart as well, geographically.
Yep.
Right? The Oklahoma-Texas beef. We all know it's big in college football. I don't really have a rooting interest. I don't know if I'm rooting for somebody.
Me, I know we both are not huge Kyrie fans. We both are huge Mark Cuban fans. I guess I'm kind of rooting for OKC. Although I think maybe a Dallas, a Dallas with Luka is like a more interesting Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
All right. Just checking in with you.
Yeah, man.
Okay, and who do you think? You're rooting for Minnesota? Do you think Denver wins?
I would still lean Denver in 7.
Who do you got? OKC, Dallas. I got OKC. I'm not sure where I'm rooting for yet, but I got OKC. Rooting for 7 games for sure.
I'll lean towards Dallas right now.
Okay. Boston, we all think Boston kind of somewhat
Sadly.
rolls. And then now you're predicting Knicks in 7 or predicting Pacers in 7?
I'll say Knicks in 7 right now. It's a toss-up, though.
Deuce McBride, big night tonight. Calling it.
All right. You will be calling the game.
I will be calling the game. That's right. We got to get this done because I have 4 hours to get ready for a fucking basketball.
And when are you going to post that link?
I'll post it in the chat. It's already out there, but I'll post it in the chat. I didn't want to get confused because I'm sure you put this in the chat.
I did.
I didn't want to bury it in the chat. So I'll put it in the chat as soon as this is over.
Cool. All right, guys, give us a ring, 310-359-8365.
I'm going to be in Vegas May 16th, Adam Carolla. May 17th, May 18th, back on the Central Coast doing Don't Tells in San Luis Obispo, Los Osos. I know it's early, but, for the people who missed me when I was in New York City, I'll be back in July. There's a Yonkers Comedy Club the last weekend of July, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the last weekend of July. I'll be there. All those, joeprano.com. Follow me on social media at Joe Prano everywhere. And become a founding member of the Dirty Sports Substack, and you get to be a member of the Miscellaneous Substack for free.
Cool. All right, guys, that's our show. Thanks for sticking with us. We will be back on Thursday, and come on into the live Knicks Pacers game 1 tonight.
That's right.
On YouTube.
Will you be there, Andy?
I'll pop in for sure.
Let's go.
All right, guys, have a great start to your week. And as always, stay dirty.